Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jack Canfield, and my guest today is Frances Jones. Frances is the founder of Heart Desires Fulfillment Coaching, a global woman empowerment speaker, and an advocate and a transformational coach. And her book, Overcoming Emotional Stigmas of Infertility, Barren but Not Ashamed, tells the story of the negativity she experienced during her more than 20-year journey of never being able to conceive. Now, Frances ultimately became free from those negative emotions, found peace with not being able to have children, and stopped infertility from controlling her life. Welcome to the show, Frances.
Thank you, Jack. I truly appreciate you having me.
I so appreciate having you because, as I've noticed in the statistics in the news, infertility seems to be a growing issue for people. More and more people are having that challenge. So infertility is such a personal topic. What made you decide to share your story so openly?
Well, Jack, honestly, I had no intention of ever sharing my story. I'm a very private person, and it was difficult just even admitting what I was going through. But I got to a point in life where I realized that my dealings and journey through infertility was so much bigger than just me, myself. And there were so many others who were yet stuck because I went through so many negativity and so much heartache that I self-inflicted. But then I was able to bring myself out of it. I remember that there were others who were yet stuck, and I felt compelled to share my story. And that is the reason that I go out as many places as I can, and I share my journey and share that there is hope in the midst of infertility. So that's why I'm so willing and able to share it openly.
We all appreciate that so much.
Thank you.
What was the hardest part of your journey? And when you share it with us, how did you overcome it?
Well, the hardest part of my journey was not being able to control the outcome, and accepting that I had no control of what was happening. Sure, I could go to the doctor and I could go through treatments and try to make things happen in the medical sense. But at the end of the day, I had no control if I would be pregnant or not. I had no control over that. But I realized there was something that I did have control over, and that was how I responded to what was going on in my life. It came to a point in place where I realized that fertility treatments were not going to work for me. I had done as much as I could medically. I had done as much as I could financially, but things still weren't panning out for me. I found out from my insurance, and my job was offering $25,000 lifetime maximum for fertility treatments. And I was really excited about that. And so I went to, the insurance company to find out more about how that worked, and found out that I had to pay up front before the treatments could take place. And I wanted to do IVF, which is in vitro. But my husband and I, we had just bought our first home, and we could not afford the medicines and the treatment because we didn't have the money. So I went to the fertility clinic and asked if they could make an allowance for us. Could they just go ahead and file on our behalf? But they weren't able to do that. And so what I had to do after just finally realizing that, Frances, this is out of your control. No matter how much you push and force it, this is not supposed to happen in this way. So one thing that I did do was I took all of my fertility medicines that I had left, and I wrote a letter to the fertility clinic, and I told them I want to be able to donate these medicines to someone who had a better chance than I did, but couldn't afford the medicines. And so I thought that maybe in some small way, I could make their dreams come true, even though it wasn't happening for me. So I was looking at the way that I responded to what was happening to me and making choices to sow seeds of love into the lives of other people. And so that was how I was able to get past those horrible, hurtful moments in that sense, because instead of me putting the focus on Frances, I started putting the focus outwardly on others.
That's beautiful. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
Now, you said that your pain was self-inflicted. When did you become aware of that? How did you become aware of that?
Well, I became aware of it because I realized that I was so consumed with what was going on with me that I actually had forgotten about the beautiful things that I already had that were going on in my life, the joyful things, the wonderful husband that I had. I had a great job. I had a great life, even though I was just not realizing that. And so when I began to realize that, Francis, you have a lot going on for you, a lot of beautiful things. Why are you downing yourself? Why are you inflicting yourself with all this negativity? I realized, though, that it was just a part of my body that wasn't operating as it should. And so Francis had to go on a self-discovery journey. And when I went on that journey, I went all the way back to my childhood and started remembering Francis again, because I lost myself. I had forgotten about the wonderful person that I was, the caring person, the person full of fun and full of life, because I had been so consumed with everything that was going on in my life. But I decided to go back and think about what made me happy when I was a young child. Butterflies and rainbows and just being in the sun and just the things that brought me joy. And I began to make journals and write about all these different things. And it was able to remind me of the wonderful person that I was before infertility came into my life. And I slowly began to journey back to myself. And that was how I was able to just resolve that negativity. I started focusing on the great things about Francis and stopped believing the lies that I had been telling myself for all those years.
What lies were you telling yourself?
Well, I told myself that I was damaged good. I told myself that I deserved, or I had done something that deserved me not being able to have children, that I loved my parents and I was always there for them, but I had gotten married and I was focusing on my marriage. And so I wasn't going back home as often as I used to. And so I was telling myself, you don't deserve to have children. Look how you're doing your parents. You're not even visiting them like you used to. You deserve all these things that are happening to you because you're not a good daughter. And so just telling myself all these things that I had caused the problems in my life, even to the point where I was diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis. I blamed myself. Well, maybe if I said something to a doctor early enough, maybe I could have mitigated this from happening. And so I thought it was my fault because I didn't go to the doctor early enough. I thought it was my fault because I wasn't there for my parents like I thought I should have been. Even though I was always there, I'm one of those type of people that I'm really hard on myself. And so I just kept telling myself all these lies. Everybody in your family could have children. All the women, your mom had 10 children. She had a sister had 10, another had 7. All your other sisters have children. All your nieces have children. Why not you? You must have done something wrong. You brought this on yourself. And so those are the things that I was telling myself, that I was the cause, I was the problem, and I deserved what was happening in my life.
Well, you're a walking billboard for one of the most powerful principles of life and happiness, which is you start focusing on what you're grateful for instead of focusing on what you don't have. It literally transformed your life. And then another great principle is that everything that happens that seems negative has a seed of an equal or greater benefit. And you started to be of service to the world with your supporting people and now with your book. I mean, I just love your story. I mean, as painful as it must have been at times, congratulations for making that transformation.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Now, you make an interesting comment about infertility. Can you share that with us?
Yes. I learned that infertility is like a thief in the night. And if you allow it, it will rob you of your joy, your peace, your happiness, your essence. I allowed infertility to control me. All I could focus on. And to the point, like I said previously, I forgot about the wonderful things in my life. All I could think about was I couldn't have children. And I'm not going to be happy until I am able to birth a child, to carry life within me. And I was giving up the very joy that I was supposed to have. And I didn't even realize it at first. I was just so consumed with it. But then I realized that a thief had come into my life. And I had given that thief permission. I had given that thief, which are those negative emotions that also is associated with infertility. I gave it permission to control my life. I gave it permission to rob me of my joy. I would sit on the couch, so to speak, and infertility would pass me a tissue saying, here, let's cry together. I forgot about me. I forgot about the love that I had and the love that I could give to others. I got rid of that thief. I had to be brave, and I had to recognize that there is life outside of infertility. And then I also realized that having children doesn't necessarily mean a happy life. Life happens as we create it to happen. And when I began to realize that those things that were external, not necessarily would bring me happiness, but happiness comes from within, and joy bubbles up. And if you choose to be happy, in spite of the hardest things going on in your life, no matter what they are, you can still find peace in life and find something to be thankful for.
Wow. I part of your introduction, I said motivational speaker. You just lived up to that reputation. I love it. So you are a coach, you have a practice, you've got this book. Tell us where people can get your book and where they can get in touch with you if they would like to work with you or hire you as a speaker.
Okay, awesome. So if you want to get Overcoming the Emotional Stigmas of Infertility, Bearing but Not Ashamed, you can get that on Amazon. It's also on a lot of online retail stores, but Amazon would probably be the best way to get it. If you want to get in touch with me as a speaker or a coach, you can go to my website, which is www.heart, HEART, desires, DESIRES, coaching, COACHING.com. And there's a speaker form that you can fill out. And there's ways that you can get in touch with me. And I would love to be able to share with you, even if it's something just to help you to move forward in life.
No, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. You're a ray of sunshine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. And thanks to all of you who tuned in to watch today. And make sure you tune in again next week when I'll have another guest whose insights and experiences and wisdom can help you live a happier and more fulfilling life. So make sure to tune in and join us. Take care until then.